recording. I'm really excited about tonight. I've been wanting to do something like this, Logan, for a while. And I love that we have couples joining us because, to be honest, this is such a unique endeavor that not many people in the world decide to be brave enough to try to do. But for those of us who can stick it out, it is absolutely worth it. For those of you who don't know, this field of business produces more self-made millionaires and billionaires than any other industry in the entire world. I didn't know that. I was always like icky. I thought that any kind of network marketing company was icky, and like most of you probably have had that first impression as well. And maybe you still think that about any kind of company that uses this platform to share its mission. But I have learned it's the complete opposite. It's very selfless. Sorry. Because if you really want to be successful, you can't do it on your own. You have to help other people be successful. This is what I mean. Like, this is going to be the most entertaining conference call that you've ever been on. I can guarantee that. Anyways, so I was just kind of
hashtag too many projects.
Hashtag too many projects. Yeah. Anyways, so I was just thinking about how amazing it is that the only way for you to be successful is to help other people be successful. You can't do it on your own, and I love that. So it's a very selfless opportunity that we have in front of us. I think the Hartkes just jumped on. But thank you guys again so much. And if you are just now jumping on, my warning to you is that we all have kids, and so this is going to be crazy. And 2 babies crawling around. Okay, so while we're waiting, I know the Hartkes are having some technical difficulties. Let's see.
Hey, Jess.
Oh, hi, there you guys are. Hi, Liz. Micheal.
Our monitor is not working, so we had to do this from our laptop. So we were messing around with our computer.
It's all good. You actually missed the really elegant setting that we are in. So let me give you.
Where are you? You guys where are you right now?
We're on the floor in our cabin that we're redoing, and our table is a bucket. The babies are crawling around. So I gave everyone the warning that we are parentpreneurs, and I know that you guys have kids as well. So we just don't know what's gonna happen. It's very exciting.
Hi.
Awesome. Okay. So, hi, Kennedy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mute you guys, and if you have any questions, please put them in the chat below. There will be a time for that question and answer, but we'd love your feedback throughout this. And really why I asked Liz and Micheal to do this with us is because we're both at different places in this business. We've been doing it for 2.5 years. You guys are 6.5 years, is that right? Okay. And I know a lot of you are just starting out. And it's hard. Like in the beginning, it can be really hard to see the vision. Liz told me in the beginning that usually the first year you don't see the fruits of your labor. You don't see the equal amount of return compared to the investment that you make with time and all of it. And you're learning a lot, and it's really hard. And I truly believe that that's why a lot of people quit before the year mark, because they don't have that long-term vision. And and I told her this is the best thing that she's ever done for me, is shown me what's possible and kind of paved the way in that. And, told me, hey, at 1 year is where you're going to start to see that compound effect. And at 2 years is where you're going to be like, holy crap, this is actually a legit thing. I'm actually starting to see because I've been consistent, because I've hit Success Club every month, you know, for these past 2 years, it's now all really compounding to a place where, you know, around my 2-year anniversary, I was able to walk away from my full-time nursing job, which is a huge deal, especially in California, because they pay you stupid money to be a nurse, especially in prison where I was working. So that's why I kind of asked them to be a part of this, because I know they're at their own like mind-boggling, amazing place in their life where they just bought their dream ranch in Wisconsin with the world's most amazing cheese. and it's just really exciting to see what they've built through the same opportunity and the same platform that we all here are using. So with that being said, I have some questions that I sent them that we're just going to kind of start digging into, because I know everyone's time is precious. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. So would you guys, some of these questions I know I sent you are going to kind of overlap, but would you kind of, I guess, outline for us the last 6.5 years for you? Where are you at now? What are some of like the markers? Like I know you told me like the 1-year mark and the 2-year mark, how those were kind of significant for you. Where were the places where you saw like the jump in income or had that kind of like realization that, oh my gosh, this is bigger than we ever really anticipated or thought it could be?
Yeah, I'm gonna so Michael has he charted stuff out for you guys because he's really good with that kind of stuff to kind of not just give you our opinion or a story, but actually show you some real numbers. So I'll kind of give you the story piece.
Yeah, we can give the words first. And
yeah.
Then we'll back it up with the numbers.
Yeah. So I'll give you my kind of perspective on it, and then and Michael can actually show you the concrete stuff because I'm sure that's what a lot of the guys on this call are hoping for. So I think the big thing for me in the beginning, I tell this story sometimes, but I remember I had just started my business and I was very skeptical to coaching. I was not really interested in it. Actually very disinterested in it. And I told my coach that I was just looking to lose weight. Like I had a fair amount of weight to lose and I didn't really know what this whole coaching thing was, but it sounded sketchy to me and I wasn't interested. So anyway, I got started just to get healthy again. And then once I had that experience and really, at the very least believe the products worked, I started paying more attention to my coach. And I saw what he was doing, and I saw he's very successful in the business and makes over 7 figures a year doing this. But I just saw the freedom lifestyle he had, like where he went from, he was in real estate and then he was in financial planning. And then all of a sudden he's like, you know, adventuring during the day with his kids and not going off to work. So I would open my mind to at least learning what he did. And I remember when I first started coaching, I was hardly making anything in the beginning. It wasn't like I wasn't even consistently getting my Shakeology paid for or anything, but I did have this vision of what it could turn into. And I think it's because I watched Keith, my coach, do it. So I knew if he did it, that it was possible for me to do it. I just had to learn the how and stay true to that vision. And I remember saying I was going to physical therapy for my knees, and my physical therapist, who's a friend of the family, my mom was there too that day. And I remember he said, like, why are you doing this Beachbody thing? And it just kind of like came out of my mouth before I thought. I was like, oh, I just want to make an extra 6 figures for my family. He laughed at me. We have a very like sarcastic relationship, and he kind of made fun of me for that comment because at the time I had just made my first $20 as a coach. And I blurted out something about 6 figures. And after I said it, I was blushing. I was embarrassed. I'm like, what am I talking about? Like, I made $20 this week. Like 6 figures? That's ridiculous. I was working in corporate at the time. But it was a testament to the vision I was starting to develop for the potential of this opportunity. So my first year, and Michael will show you the numbers, there was very little consistency in the numbers. Like basically, when you start as a coach, a lot of what you make is based on commissions because you're just kind of building up this clientele and connecting with new people that are either going to be customers or coaches on your team. So that can fluctuate. Like if I had a week where, I was running a challenge group and I was consistently inviting and I had a lot of people signing up, that might be a good pay week for me and I might make a couple $100. But then the next week could come around and I didn't do that again, and all of a sudden it was a lower number. I think there was even a week in my first few months where I owed Beachbody money because I had returned, like people were, returning what they purchased from me. So there was a lot of inconsistency, and it was really hard, I think, for Micheal in the beginning to fully grasp the actual business opportunity here outside of this just being like occasionally selling things. So it wasn't until I started to find other people who were open to the vision for building an actual business versus just buying a product that my income started to become more consistent and growing more and becoming residual. That's the key.
Right. So the first year it was mainly sales. So commissions from selling challenge packs, commissions from selling Shakeology, that type of thing. There's a little bit of bonuses and residual income there, but most of it was sales.
Yeah.
And so you'll see that in our numbers. They kind of bounce up and down, nothing too crazy, nothing more than a few $100, anything like that.
Yeah. And Jess is totally right. Like there is a lot of attrition in this business because it's not signing on the dotted line at a corporate career where they're like, this is your salary, this is what you get paid every 2 weeks, whether you work or not, like this is what's going in your bank account. You're opening the doors to a business. Yes, we're not employees of Beachbody, so we don't have like this guaranteed consistent salary. This is definitely an entrepreneurial venture in the sense of what you put in is what you get out, and it's not always immediate. The blessing in the business, however, is that you can build something, which is what we've built now that we've had for, almost half of the time we've been a coach, for about 3 years now, this strong residual and growing income that whether or not we are physically present, we are getting paid, and we're getting paid very well. So, we have a 3-year-old, a 1.5-year-old, and another baby due in January. And starting in 2015, when we had our oldest, I went from like up until that point, I was still in kind of like hustle mode. The first 3.5 years of my business, I was building it, establishing it. Micheal was still working in corporate. And we kind of had this, like, we were toying around with this idea of him coming home at some point from working, which felt crazy. I had already left my corporate career. So I was still like working a lot, and this was my full-time thing at this point, Beachbody. Come when Jack was born 3+ years ago, our business got to a place where I could take a massive step back in the amount of hours I was working because of what I had built. And we were still being paid in a way that I was able to leave my job and Micheal was able to leave his job. So yes, it's really tough in the beginning to see that vision sometimes because it doesn't always align with the amount of hours or effort you're putting in. But the other blessing in it is there isn't a huge risk. Like I have yet to meet a person who becomes a Beachbody coach that isn't using the products already. So for me, like I would be buying Shakeology monthly and using Beachbody on demand, whether or not I was a coach. So we don't have to like go buy $1,000 worth of Shakeology and try to sell it out of our basement. So there isn't that massive risk too. So I'll let you kind of, do you want to
just get a word in?
Yeah, I'm out of breath. Do you want to show some of that?
Yeah, I can show some of that. So like I said, the first year, I don't even know how to show something here.
I know. I wish our stupid monitor was
working. The first year is, kind of jumping around type of sales.
Yeah, so what you can do is, do you want to pull that up now?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll share screen. And
the
then
second year is when you start to see, some income more than like a couple $100 a week. And then the third year is when, if you're, this isn't just a time thing. If you're doing all these things, if you're hitting Success Club, if you're helping your coaches develop and teaching your coaches how to run the business, and rank advancing and all these things, you know, the third year is when you really start to make like sustainable income that can help really change your life and your family's life. And then after that, it just gets crazy. And I remember Keith telling us that, and us maybe in the first, he told us, you know, he hinted at that stuff in the first year that we were coaches. And then the second year when he could see like, yeah, we weren't really going away and Liz was making some noise, he kind of shared more about the path. And we're still sitting there, you know, making, I don't know, $1,000 a week or not even, still like kind of thinking, no, this can't grow to like a six figure business. Like that just can't happen. And thankfully he just kept assuring us, and we kept believing him that, oh, just keep doing what you're doing, and over time you'll see that it keeps growing. So let me share this workbook.
Can you guys see that?
Too. So I want to share it too.
You can move this if you just like pull it from, yeah. They can't see that, I don't think, that far. It's not blocking you.
Not that much.
And you can minimize this too.
There we go. So I want to show this to you guys yearly, because I think it's important to see that, because I mean, as business owners, as coaches, we don't even look at our income yearly. We usually look at it weekly, you know, and you're saying, well, what the heck? Why is my, like, I've been at this for, you know, a few months and I'm really not seeing much. Well, like, you know, this is our first year's income. So you can see the ups and the downs, you know. Some weeks, you know, she's selling a few, look like multiple challenge packs, and you get up $600, $800 a week, something like that. But then, you know, the very next week you're down to $37 or $100. But you know, she's doing really well, really selling a lot. But it doesn't really look like much, right? This isn't an income that can support anyone, and this is a lot of time and effort put in.
And this is when I was still working full time, so it really felt like a lot of time, because, you know, I'm working a normal day with a long commute, and then I'm coming home and I'm trying to do this. So note to whoever in each of your couples is running the business, communicate with your spouse, because if you come home after a long day and you have kids or whatever, and you just are like picking up your phone without trying to communicate your vision for what you're doing or setting specific hours to work this business too, I'd be pissed off if I were a spouse and like wasn't fully understanding what this was all about, and all I knew was it was taking you away from me. So that was a big thing that we had to work through too, like when I was working full time, to make sure that it wasn't just like spending all my time working, whether it was corporate or this.
Okay, so let's take a look at year two.
Can you guys we can't see you right now because we have you minimized. You guys can still hear us, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Find my unmute button. I can see everything and I can hear you guys. Sorry.
So here's year two, and if you look at it, I mean, it doesn't really look, you know, it looks pretty similar type of line to the last one, you know, but you can notice the scale is a lot different. You know, in the second year, you know, most of her weeks are over $400 a week, and she's even getting over 1,000, you know, towards the end of the year. So you can see, you know, year two, you know, you're starting to make some pretty serious money, and you're seeing this grow. Still doesn't seem that dramatic, but it's getting there. So year three is when you can start to see that line kind of shift. So this is the third year. You can see how this is kind of tipping more, and you know, our income is going from 1,000 at the lowest up to over 5,000 in 1 week.
And that's about the point where I was starting to find other people or like teach other people to do what I was doing. That's like where duplication is key. You're not really going to see the growth that you will show you from year 3 to current day just by selling a lot. Like I don't sell a ton of product. I, by the skin of my teeth, hit Success Club 10 every month because that's a goal I set from the very beginning, but I'm recruiting 1 to 2 coaches a month. Like this is not massive numbers. This is because I have people like Jess and like other people like Jess too that are saying, okay, I see the vision. I'm going to do this for myself and my family too. So the duplication started to kick in right around year 3, and that's where you see us shift.
That's the only way you'll see numbers like this is if you help your team to build their business. Here, I guarantee, I promise you, you'll see that in the number of coaches that we've signed up versus the number of coaches our team has signed up in a little bit. So year 1, you're working full time. Yeah. Right around the end of year 1 into year 2 is when you stopped your full time job, and when you started to get some diamonds, you probably started around like maybe 2-star diamond at the end of your second year, something like that. And year 3 is when like you were able to open up your second business center. You have my business center, and we've got multiple people running. And so that's why you start to see the income grow, is when we can. So hopefully everyone knows about multiple business centers. It's kind of like you can almost like double dip your income. Like when you sign up someone with Shakeology, that counts for like at least 2 of your business centers when you have 3.
Yeah. So if that doesn't make sense to you, don't stress. You might not be at that point in your business that you need to know that. But basically what you want to know is this is where we started to tap into maximizing the compensation plan, which is something that Jess or myself or other people will help you with when it's go time for that. So I didn't know much about that stuff until I got to this point where I was like really leaning on my coach saying, okay, now you got to help me tap into this thing so that I'm making the most possible amount of money with the effort I'm putting in.
I wanted to add something really quick, if you guys don't mind, too, related to that. And we talked about this really briefly before you guys jumped on, but people hear this, and I know that in the beginning, before you really understand like the power behind the products and, from an outsider's perspective, and you hear that, this is where I think some people get the wrong impression of why you're trying to recruit coaches, but really, oh my goodness, son. One of the reasons why I've come to love network marketing, which I never thought I'd say, is because it's such a selfless business in a sense, because you cannot be truly successful and have these numbers without helping other people be successful. And I actually love that. I love that we as coaches, in order to really grow a substantial, freedom, financial freedom, freedom of time, all of these things that you're just talking about, we have to invest in people. We have to learn and teach how to other people to be, successful and have this vision as well. You can't just do it yourself, because I tried.
Right.
And it's physically impossible because you can't get to diamond without your coaches getting to emerald. You can't get to star diamond without your coaches getting to diamond. So you have to physically help your coaches build their business, not like literally, but teach them. And not to mention that, but we have over 7,000 coaches in our downline. So 7,000 coaches, signed up by us and our coaches all together. There's no way that we're signing up 7,000 or even near that. I think we've signed up, 100 to 150 personally sponsored coaches.
And of that 100 to 150, I have like 15 to 20 that actually work the business and duplicate what I'm doing in some capacity. So this is definitely a quality thing. Good people who then go help other good people. I would have quit this 6 years ago if it required me to be signing up hundreds of people every month. That's not what, and some network marketing companies, that is what they promote. That is how they teach. But that's not how you make a long-term residual income. That's how you make a quick buck.
And it's not sustainable doing it that way either. Another thing that that our coach taught us, that's kind of like just a simple thing to remember, that can guide you to this kind of money and income, is that you need to build five-star diamond coaches in your downline.
Not necessarily personally sponsored,
but just, because a 5-star diamond coach is like Jessica, like she's 5-star. So, you need to help cultivate and develop at least 5 of those, maybe not even your own, but you need 5 of those to really start to create like really crazy income.
And something that you can be doing, like, I don't know what level everybody's at, but something you can be doing from day one, and I'm really lucky that I had Keith as my coach, is start to tap into the concept of leadership, even if you're brand new to this business, because even though your first year might look a lot like up and down as far as a chart like this, and might feel really up and down, and might be based a lot on sales as far as income, the ultimate goal is developing yourself into a leader and then developing others into leaders, like the best version of themselves, even outside of Beachbody. And if you can start to tap into that early, you'll naturally start to attract people who are open to growing into that person. And those are the people that will build these kind of businesses with you, versus the people who come in and they press the gas, they pump the brakes, they're in, they're out, they do it when it's convenient, they don't show up when it's not. So if you can be kind of mastering that leadership through what you're reading, what you're listening to, how you're thinking, that's going to be huge advantage to you in this entire process, and help you. And also, these numbers, like Jess is ahead of this curve as far as what she's seeing in growth in her business. So you can do it faster than we did it. You can do it slower than we did it. And you can do it better than we did it, even coming in 6 years after we did it. So it's not about when you came in or who you're under or anything like that.
Yeah, there are plenty of coaches that started before us that don't see income anywhere near this. There are numerous coaches that have started within the last couple of years that are seeing income like this. It is so not when you start. This isn't like a golden egg that you just find at the right time. It's about the quality. I would take 5 Jessicas any day of the week versus having 500 or even 5,000 just regular like Shakeology customers. It's the truth, because it's how you build, and how you build something manageable. You could never service and lead 7,000 people
on your own.
Right. But you can lead 15 to 20, and those 15 to 20 can lead 15 to 20, and all of a sudden it just explodes. Mm-hmm. So let's just skip real quick around here to the more complete picture, because most of these curves are going to look the same, but then you see the total, which is kind of what everyone's after. What is the real potential of something like this? And when you put all those years together, guys, look at, like, this is when, this isn't a slow growing curve anymore. This is starting to just kind of, go vertical. And this is when our son was born, and we started just kind of coasting, honestly, because at this point, 10,000 to 16,000 a week is good enough. So.
And that's not including bonuses. So to give you a picture, we have multiple business centers. I'm not going to try and explain all this now because it really doesn't matter until you get to that point. We have multiple business centers that are, 2 of which are earning bonuses. 1 of which goes in and out of earning a 15-star bonus, and the 15-star bonuses range anywhere from $50,000 to, I've seen it as high as $78,000 a quarter. And that's in addition to this weekly income. So the potential is really incredible and unmatched. And like we said, the way we grew it, because of how we were taught, thankfully, was we grew it for income, like not necessarily always for recognition or to see our name in lights. And because we built it like that, it's such a sustainable model that when our son was born, and then when our daughter was born, and then when I was sick all this summer and we moved across country, I went from that 30-hour to 40-hour a week grind before he was born to, I'll work anywhere from 5 to 20 hours a week on this, and we maintain and or grow our business plus the bonuses. So just to kind of paint a picture that it's like, once you get it to this spot, and not everybody gets it to this spot because they don't necessarily do what it takes to get to that spot, it allows for a freedom lifestyle that is hard to understand until you're living it. Because I remember us looking at Keith being like, yeah, okay. And I remember telling Jess and James this, and then looking at us like, yeah, okay. So it's hard to grasp. It's still hard for us to grasp these numbers sometimes.
Thank you guys so much for sharing this. I appreciate it so much because I know, like, I appreciate and value you guys, and I know this is not something that you go really shout to the world. But like I said, for me, the best thing that you guys did for us was show us what's possible. And, now I never even knew that I wanted to not work with like, another perspective that I've had is I spent 4 years and over $100,000 to get my nursing degree, to get my bachelor's in nursing, and I convert that to this. It's like, okay, can I invest 4 years and literally have no overhead? I invest in my business in different ways, but, and I'm constantly coming out positive, especially now. It's just like a no-brainer to me as far as a business model goes. But these numbers, like you said, it's hard to truly comprehend until you get there. But I can say that with every month and every year, as we've grown and seen it, our belief continues to increase. So we're now, since I was able to walk away from my job, now we're having that conversation of, okay, if we're creating the life if we're living a life by design, what do you want? And that's when we were like, well, do you want to continue to work in your job if you don't have to financially? And then it's like, oh my gosh, we could go on 2-week, hunting and fishing trips and go visit the Hartkes and go play in their farm. And okay, yeah, that's what I want to do. So it's just really cool, I think, especially as a husband and wife, when you can come together and create these visions, because it's not easy. But I think that life's hard no matter what, and we pick our hard. We pick if we want it to be hard in this, or whether we want it to be hard, both of us working full time away from the home.
Yeah.
Do you,
Good.
Michael, I think it would help, because we didn't really talk about like journey was like for you from like first hearing about when I started drinking Shakeology.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question, so that would be perfect.
No, you were.
Oh, that was the next question? Okay, yeah, so do we have a good amount of spouses on the call, is that right?
Yeah.
Or significant others or whatever?
Yeah.
Awesome.
You're supposed to talk to the spouses that are supporting the lead coach in the relationship of the Beachbody team.
We'll do that. So in the beginning, I remember Elizabeth came home and found this pamphlet talking about Shakeology, and yeah, it's great. It's it's got all these fruits and vegetables in it, and it's supposed to give you energy and help your immune system, and it just costs like $120 a month. And I heard that right off the bat, and I was like, no. There's no way. $120 a month. That's more than like a phone. Like, why do you need a shake every month? That you don't need that. That's just not happening. But luckily, that's not how decisions are made. And so she did get it. And I don't know. It took me maybe about a month or so to really try it, or probably not to try it.
Longer than that.
No, I tried it, but like not to
No,
I didn't like drink it
Right.
until maybe month 2 or 3, something like that. And then I started drinking it, and then I was like, all right, like, so like, I guess this is fine. Like this, it tastes really good, and I'm a numbers guy too, so I was able to kind of quickly like reverse my mindset, because that's a pretty um, tough like sticker shock kind of thing to see or hear, like $120 a month or 100, whatever it is. But once you start thinking through it, it's like, okay, well, that's a shake a day, and when you rationalize that, then it's $4 per shake, and we drink our shakes as a meal. I drink mine as a breakfast every day. So I know a lot of guys out there, and a lot of spouses are just like me, here $120 a month, but I'll be damned if you can eat a meal for $4 or less.
it's benefit.
That's not only benefit, it's healthy, it tastes good, and it's probably saving you money. I don't know what other people eat for breakfast or lunches, but I used to go out to lunch when I worked in corporate, and I mean easily $8, $9, $10, $12 at least, for lunch. And then if you're getting breakfast, if you're buying a coffee or a bagel or something like that, I mean, cheapest breakfast you're going to get, unless you're eating like cereal, is like $5. So I was able to get over the money aspect of it, I would have said fairly soon. And then she starts getting into the coaching, and then it's like, okay, well, let's just like kind of see where that goes. And I think it was kind of neat, to see a couple income checks, but it's nothing life changing. But yeah, it's cool to see the first $20 check or something like that. And then definitely didn't believe the potential of like what I just showed you guys. I don't think Keith ever showed us numbers. He told us those types of numbers. But still, it's hard to believe that. It's hard, even if you see it, it's hard to believe. But luckily, Elizabeth believed it enough that she started working it really hard. I think because she hated her job and she had big enough dreams and visions. And I think after I started seeing her income, like her highest week, she'd keep upping that. And then it was almost like a game, like, okay, like I made $500 this week, because then the next week is like $20 or $50. But then it's like, oh, okay, like I think I can hit like $1,000 this month or something like that. It was almost turned into a game. And then it's like, all right, well, like this is actually going somewhere. Like, yeah, it's been a year, but like this is increasing. So at what point will this increase to like something where it's residual and sustainable? And so that really, I think, once again, just got my numbers mind going. I started looking into the business, and seeing how to make money and how you could structure it to make money efficiently. And then I started not only just letting her do it, but cheering her on and supporting her, helping her make decisions, because I'm much more technical, and she's, I don't know, just more personable, or likes doing the marketing and like the social aspect of it. So we kind of teamed up like that. But yeah, it was a good few years until it really kicked in for me, and then I was all in. Then I'm tracking income weekly, in like that year 3, like I'm logging, I don't know, at least an hour a day at work, like tracking our income and like strategizing, building these awesome Excel workbooks to track everything, and knowing where our coaches are on each leg. I mean, because anyone would support that type of a business too once you start seeing those results. But I guess it's really more about how do you support that before you see those kind of results in that year 1 time frame, when you're not making consistent income, or even if you're not seeing the income in year 1 that we saw. Like, how do you support that? And Liz and I were just talking about it, and it's kind of tough for us to understand how a spouse especially wouldn't support that. Okay, because all right, you got the money. We talked about the money thing right off the bat. So like, Is there anyone that is still hung up on money? I hope not.
Like as far as
Like as far as like not supporting this from a money perspective. I could go all day on the numbers and the money. Then we were saying like, all right, even if say you're break even on the cost of it, even if you're not, I would suspect most people could save money drinking this as a meal. Then on top of that, you're getting healthy. You're hopefully losing weight and getting in shape. I mean, I would support that for my wife any day of the week. And I think most guys would as well.
Gaining confidence and just feeling better about your health and yourself and everything.
And then just see, maybe you're not at the point of seeing real big income numbers or anything consistent yet, but now that you've seen what can happen, and if Jessica shares with you her numbers, you're going to see this isn't just a fluke. This isn't something that just happens when you joined 6.5 years ago. And there were coaches that started 5 years before us too. This isn't just a timing thing. This is the amount of work you put in, and the quality of people and how you train people and develop people. And then just, I guess too, like, I would hope people would just support their spouses or partners in whatever they do. I mean, it doesn't feel good no matter what to feel put down or not supported. And I really hope people would do it just for that sake, if not for those other three things that we just pointed out: the potential, I guess eliminating money as a factor, and then just the fact that you're getting healthy and fit.
Mm-hmm. And I think a big thing from like my perspective, being the one working the business more, I get a lot of coaches that say like, well, how do you get your husband to support you? And what I would tell you is you don't get them to do anything. You become worthy of that support. And you do that by, well, you're always worthy of their support, but you prove that you are committed to this. So in the times that I was showing up every day for my business, showing up every day for my workouts, drinking my shake every day, that made it easy for Micheal, even before he understood what this business was, to say, if she's committed, I'm committed. Like, I'm at the very least committed to supporting her. But if you, like, the biggest mistake I see specifically women making in this business is they're in and then they're out, and then they're in and then they're out, and then they're in, they're out. How do you expect someone to 100% support something you're not doing 100%? You have to make that mental commitment to yourself and to what you want to build and your vision for this. And I highly recommend including your spouse or your person in that conversation, because then you can start to envision it together. But if you are running a challenge group 1 month and signing up a couple people, but the next month, the kids are home for summer and it's busy and you didn't really see the results you wanted, and you don't feel like doing the workouts yourself, like, I'll do it next month when the kids are back in school. No offense, but I personally wouldn't be backing you either because you're not all in. So the day you make that decision to do this for real, like, you're not just going to magically make these numbers because you signed up 2 years ago and you stayed signed up for a few years. This is years of consistent staying the course and commitment. And there have been plenty of times where I have started to take my foot off the gas in a time where I should be pushing, and Micheal has called me out on it because he supports me and said, hey, that's not what you said you wanted. You said you wanted this, this, and this for our family. Well, what you're doing currently isn't what is going to yield that result. So be a partnership in it. And if you aren't currently getting the support that you hope for, keep showing up. Like, prove that you deserve that support because you're staying committed to this. And don't try to twisting one's arm into doing anything. Just keep doing you and keep doing what you believe and keep doing a really good job and working really hard at it, and communicate Don't just sit there scrolling on your phone when you're with your spouse. That is not okay.
And something too that I'm amazed at is how quickly some, I guess women more probably in general, will abandon something when they don't get their spouse's support. Like guys, like, you know, we could go find like an old junk car and want to fix it up. It doesn't matter if our wife is saying, well, that's a piece of junk, like, and you don't know how to fix up cars, so this is a hell of an investment of time and money. It's not going to stop you. Like women, you got to like do the same thing. Either this is worth your time and like years of putting into it, or it's not. Like it doesn't matter. Like, yes, it's really nice and helpful to have your spouse's support, but it's either worth it or it's not. So if your spouse isn't going to support you, you need to figure out if it's worth it or if it's not, and then just do it, you know?
And you start raking in some good money, trust me, they'll support you.
Yeah.
So like at the very least, kick ass and make good money, and then all of a sudden they're not going to complain about you doing your little Beachbody side
you
thing.
trust me, then you'll want to have supported and have been wrong in the beginning rather than come crawling back saying, yeah, you were right.
Yeah, it's not so bad when you're sitting in front of your corporate boss giving your 2 weeks notice so that you can come home and do what you actually want to do with your life as you earn a 7-figure income doing something you love that gives you freedom.
Thank you guys so much. That was so powerful. And you guys kind of hit a lot of the points too that we were talking about before this call, because I was like, okay, this is the question that I'm going to ask you, because I know you guys are at this place in your lives right now, and we have like so many different stages of people on this call. Some people are just now starting. We are 2.5 years in, and you guys are 6.5 years in. But I'm going to ask you the same question.
Great.
I'm nervous.
In the spotlight now.
You work with like criminals. You should be like used to
I do construction.
pressure. Oh, that's right. Sorry. So like, I know the answer obviously, but for you guys to know, like, what was your perspective when I was first like, hey, do you see Liz's abs? I want her abs. That was literally why I started. But
Well,
anyway,
it didn't really start like that, I guess, for us. Initially, we started Beachbody, or just found Beachbody. She found a post by Liz, and Liz was in the 22-minute hardcore test group and had great results. And you were 3 weeks postpartum?
months.
3
months.
3 months. There was a 3 in there. And with baby and full-time job and everything else, Jess started Beachbody just to bounce back from pregnancy. She goes, I want to do this home workout. This coach I've been following has had great results, and I can get Shakeology paid for. And a little backstory about me and mine and Jess dating before marriage, as far as fitness goes, is I asked Jess when we first started dating, because she did workups as a registered nurse for health stuff. She was like health consultant, and I was doing 2-a-days at the CrossFit gym, training I tried out for the open and would run to the gym, do the workout, run home, go to work. I was working 8 to 10 hours doing concrete and heavy equipment work at a prevailing wage construction job. So she sent me this questionnaire. I did not fill it out.
Because I asked him, how many times a day do you poop? He's like, oh, no, I'm not.
No.
Not exactly.
So we started dating. Long story short, come up to Beachbody, but I was still going to CrossFit. I was still doing CrossFit, and she told me, you need to get rid of muscle milk. You need to stop taking C4 as a pre-workout.
I know you have 12 abs, which is annoying.
This stuff, have you read the back of the bag? And I'm like, yeah, but it comes from GNC. It's got to be good. So she said there's a shake that she'd already researched Shakeology and said, hey, this is one of the best protein shakes on the market. I'm going to do this program. If I get these people to sign up with me to do 22-minute hardcore, I get it paid for. Okay, we got 10 minutes. I'm going to make it quick. So I said, yeah, cool, whatever. Do you? I continued to go to CrossFit and started taking Shakeology as a protein. That was my protein powder for what I was doing. And in this journey, we're 2.5 years in.
Wait, but I'm gonna backtrack because we talked about something before that was really good to me. Okay. And
you got me with the clock. 10 minutes. All right, ready, break.
You had said, what were the conditions if you're gonna do this?
The conditions is, there's a couple of sayings in our family. One is never quit. That's not in our vocabulary.
Never effing quit.
She'll put it out there. Anyways, never quit.
It's important.
Can't is not in the vocabulary, and trust in the process. And so I told her, I go, if you're going to do this, then you can't quit. That's something we don't do.
You have to go all in.
All in and go for it. And that was part of, supporting and trusting. And Jess got amazing results from 22-minute hardcore the first round after Logan was born. And then I guess that was the next benchmark where I was like, wow, this home workout.
This little home workout thing.
These programs actually work.
Then he did it with me, and it was like.
Well, and proceeds for that went to the military, so I like that as well because I'm prior military. So then leading up to that, Jess signed up. I don't even think you were a coach yet.
No, I was.
She was a discount coach.
Because I like to save money. I mean, hello.
And part of trusting in the process, she reached out and said, I'm going to do this program, reached out to all her friends. A bunch of people signed up to do the program with her. And I think that was the first time that Liz reached out and said, who are you? How'd you get all these people?
Because it was like 4 days. I had 4 coaches sign up, and I had no idea what I was doing. I just asked like my mom, like all the people around me, I need your credit card and your social security number. You're going to do this program with me. I had no idea about rank or income or any of that. But
so fast forward, we ended up having that conversation to go back on what the Hartke said. We had that conversation. Liz and Micheal asked us, give us a year. That's what their coach told them. Give us a year. Trust in the process. Show up
for a year.
But you're not going to see any fruits of your labor.
Not any. Well, not the same. We saw fruits.
Yeah. But for the work that you put in, if you try to categorize it by how much I'm making an hour or, what I'm putting in at night on my lunch break, on everything else, then it doesn't pan out. And Michael's a numbers guy. And to fast forward to the 2.5 years now that we're into it, I'm more of, I look at what I made working my butt off, in construction. And Jess is making more per week than I ever did at a prevailing wage job. So talk about, I never worked in a corporate setting, but I showed up, put a hard hat on, did hard physical labor for 8-10 hours a day to where you just walked home and passed out face first in bed and got up and did it all over again. And her busting her butt day in and day out and showing up. But now we're at a point to where, that's impressive to me. People look for prevailing wage jobs, especially from my background, and to be able to create this lifestyle by helping people. And Jess has always been that since we dated. She's just wanted to help the world. So to make the lifestyle that she wants by showing up every day for everybody else and doing what she loves by helping one person at a time to save the world, then it's amazing what
we're doing it.
So anything else you want?
I appreciate that. I know, I really want to respect everyone's time, and we're coming up on an hour. But there are a couple things that I wanted to share with you first. Some of my numbers. Everyone again is different. The first 2 years of my coaching, so up until June, I worked full time as a registered nurse in a prison, for those of you who don't know. And, I had to make pockets of time and grow this. I was just super excited about it. But so my first month I actually made, I'm still very excited. I mean, hello, did you see that income progression potential? My first month, I made $520, all commission because I was so excited. And my 12-month mark, we made $2,600, and that was still working full time. And then my 27-month mark was right at $4,700, and that was a big deal for me because right around that time is when I had matched what I brought home for my starting RN income, and that was huge. That's when I walked away from my job, and that's when we started like, holy crap. So those are kind of my numbers. Now Liz and I come from very different backgrounds. I come from the background of being into health and fitness, or health and nutrition, loving that aspect. And so I just wanted to, as we kind of close this out, Liz, I know that when people first meet you now, they think that you started with a huge network and that you started loving clean eating and working out every day, and it was just super easy to walk around in your sports bra with your abs. And so is that what your beginning looked like?
No, the abs are currently long gone, but to be back someday. No, I definitely did not, and still really don't have what I would call a passion for health and fitness. This platform is so cool in that really whatever your passions are, you can integrate them into this platform. I am just someone who now understands the power of good health and utilizing fitness and nutrition to get there. So I'm more someone that's passionate about helping healthy living to live an optimized life. Like, I want good energy so I can play with my kids. I want to be fit so that I can have confidence and feel strong. And I use these programs because they're efficient, they work, they're mindless. I can do them from my basement while my kids are napping, and they don't cost me a lot of money. And they're mindless. Like, press play, and I know I'm gonna get the result I want if I show up and I do what I'm told. And what was the first part of your question? You asked about the health and fitness piece.
Yeah. And the network. Like, did you start out with 10,000 followers on your Instagram?
No, and I still don't, working on that. But I had a personal Facebook page. I had literally never put up a status update. I had, I think, about 100 friends on Facebook, and they were actually like my friends, people I knew from college and high school and grade school. And I was like annoyed by the thought of the people who even used social media to like announce what they were doing. So there was a huge growth curve for me, but it really came down to like, am I going to be coachable? My coach is saying, this is how I'm going to build a business. Well, do I really care what other people think, or do I care about what I want for my life and my family and this business? So I had to kind of like get over a lot of different things, like my preconceived notions, my insecurities about what people thought about me, or what will so-and-so say if I do this or that. And I also sucked at it. If you go back to 2012 and you want to scroll for a few hours until you get back there on my Facebook, my posts were embarrassing. So there was a lot of learning to do. I definitely wasn't like I also had to lose over 50 pounds. So I wasn't the model health and fitness coach. So hopefully that's a testament to like, if I can do it, anyone can do it.
It's just encouraging, because I know that a lot of times when we see leaders and people with the numbers that you guys have and with the accolades that you have, it's intimidating sometimes, especially when people don't know your background. And you almost start to think like, yeah, that worked for them because they had a silver spoon in their mouth. Like, they had something that I don't have. But I love that. I will never forget you doing a call and saying, look, I'm Italian and I love my wine and bread. You know, like, and I love that because it's so real. And that's what I hope tonight that you guys on this call understand fully, is that this is available to anyone who's willing to show up and do the work and believe in yourself. And I think that's sometimes where people get caught up, because they don't believe that they can do it. And if you don't believe you can do it, you never will. It's a requirement. And that's one of the hardest parts, I feel like. And that's why personal development is so important. And I would encourage, for the spouses on here, there's nothing I love more, honestly, than growing together with my husband. Like going to Summit together and we're going to Brendan Bouchard's High Performance Academy together and listening to the Rise Together podcast, you know, and not that he's like super stoked about it, but he does it. You know, we like every now and then we'll listen to it, and it's something that I just had to come to him in not a passive aggressive way and say, hey, this would mean a lot to me. Would you do this with me? And if, you know, hopefully that if you do that to your spouse, hopefully they'll say, okay, but you have to go hunting with me, you know, like something like that. Or, you know, it's just a bartering system. That's what marriage is, right? Anyways, okay, last question before this one melts. Loaded question. What are like some of your guys together? Some of your best tips for a new coach if they want to get to where you are going, where you guys are at right now?
I think the two things that come to mind are be coachable. Like if Jess or our team or other coaches in the network that have it figured out are telling you, like based on your goals, this is what we recommend you do it. Like if you trust them and you have that trust established, do it. And the other thing is be resourceful. I remember Keith always saying, like, if you treat this like a hobby, it will reward you like a hobby financially. If you treat this like a business, it will reward you like a business financially. You're a business owner. You don't know how to do something. Don't blame Jess. Don't blame your upline. You have access to Google. You have access to the Coach Online Office. You have access to our team pages. You have every resource available to you that even if you were on an island with no access to any upline, you could figure this out if you really want to do it. And the best way you're going to be able to do that is by having a vision that you're so committed to that you don't care whether someone is feeding you the answers or you're having to claw through, you know, hell and back to find them yourself. So be coachable, be resourceful, and have a really strong vision that you stay committed to.
Yeah, I think the vision is really key. Like anything, I mean, I would never have passed all my actuarial exams if it weren't for my vision. You know, that stuff didn't come easy to me, and I don't think this is easy either. It's a lot of hard work, and but if it's important enough to you and you're desperate enough to like, if you want it bad enough, then you'll get it. Like, you know, if your kids' lives were on the line for that, you know, you would figure it out and you would do it as well.
Hey, Candace.
And I don't know, I'd love to hear, I see some of the guys, like I grace about one, maybe two Zoom calls a year.
You grace them
with
your presence.
Yeah. And I'm guessing my fellow dudes do as well.
This is
any of the other guys that like have any questions, or like, I mean, it probably seems like a lot of like craziness, or, you know, hopefully not much smoke and mirrors or anything like that. Like, this is all real, very real, like very possible for every one of you guys too.
And if you're shy and not comfortable asking on the call, like don't hesitate in you know, shooting us a message on Facebook or something. Ask privately too. We understand that it might be awkward if this is your first public.
Putting you on the spot. What would you say? Go ahead.
I was just gonna piggyback on that and say that if your wife or spouse is the lead coach in the partnership and you have any questions, you can message via Facebook or whatever.
But
I can answer more.
If you can find him, because he's
I'm
incognito.
friends with you.
He's friends with me. He's in my pictures, so you can find him that way.
James on
Jimmy
Facebook.
You're welcome. You know, anyone, you guys want to put me on the spot too, or James on the spot, like, you know, ask us something you think is a real tough question, or, you know, you still think, if you think it's a pyramid scheme or something like that, like lay it on me or lay it on us.
That's a good one.
We've heard it all in the last plus years. And the funny thing is, we probably had every skepticism and doubt. Like every hesitation, I certainly had it myself, and I'm sure Micheal did too. So we definitely don't judge anyone that might think those things at this point.
So I have a question. So Krista is the one who, she does it all. Right? So I still work full-time, actually more than full-time. And I want to come home, right? I want to help her out with this. She just got 2 stars, so she got her second business center last.
Nice.
And so I want to help out as much. And you guys have any tips on you as a husband to help her? I mean, other than
and he like he was saying, he doesn't give himself enough credit, but he works ridiculous hours. Like from the time our kids are awake till they're already in bed, he doesn't get home usually. He's in car sales, so it's hard for him because he wants to be here, and I really want him here. And I think that I would have more time and energy to work my business because we have 3 small children if he was here. And so I think that's kind of where he's going with that. Like, how can he?
What do you need the most, Chris? Is it Krista?
Krista.
What do you need?
I know what she needs the most. She needs
time.
She needs having the 3 kids.
Uninterrupted time.
Yeah.
I mean,
you ever
they need us.
hiring a nanny or anything like that? That was one thing I don't think we touched on. Is we went to a conference called Smart Success. Shalene Johnson runs it, and I think one of the biggest things that really, I mean, and more than just Beachbody, it really catapulted us forward just in life, is learning how to delegate things and how to have smart success. So we came home from that and we hired a nanny.
We hired a squad.
A housekeeper, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, we started like taking things off of our plate in order to not just to take them off and to coast, but to allow us to do what we needed to do to really grow it. So you sound like you're at 2-star diamond, but like you got this, like you know how to do this. I think
my team's amazing.
You know, you and to be able to do it. So I don't know if you guys have ever contemplated anything like a nanny or something like that, because we got 2. We have a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and 1 due in January. So we're right there with you, and we do it with a nanny.
And so here's the thing, like what could you have to learn to value your time, Krista. So what could you do with 3, let's just say 3 uninterrupted hours a week? Could you make back whatever you'd have to, let's say you're paying someone 15 bucks an hour. So
$45.
Could you sell a challenge back if you had 3 hours a week and cover that cost and some?
Or a day or something, you know.
Okay, so our current struggle, I think the most is that we're kind of making the same amount right now. And before it was like his income was dramatically more than mine. Obviously, growing a Beachbody coaching business doesn't start out awesome at first. I mean, it's awesome in every way except for you have to build your income. And now we're at the point where we're kind of in the same place, and I'm helping with the bills just as much too. And so I think where our mind is kind of that we're still doing the struggle thing, but in a different way. And so hiring someone isn't really on the table for us, and we want to get to a point or a place where we can, I guess we're both just kind of stuck right now. Like we don't know how to move past that point because I don't know how to get to that place where I have the time, and he doesn't know how to help me. So, I mean, he wants to, so.
What was your name? I didn't catch it. Hubby.
Anthony.
Okay.
Anthony.
So
Anthony.
what are some of your, like Michael's a numbers guy, right? So that's a real big strength because I am not good with numbers. So that's something that he really steps in and helps with that kind of the back end of the business. What are some of the things that you're either passionate about or you that come naturally to you that almost anything can apply to Beachbody? So what are some things that come naturally to you?
Well, I'm similar. My numbers are a thing I'm really good at, and I'm kind of her tech and numbers guy at the moment. But I kind of want to try to step up and do more to help her out. Without,
So I think things that Micheal has been able to do have been help me maximize the comp plan by learning the business. So something you could do, Anthony, is like just continue to learn the compensation plan, cycling, where, you know, like if you just, it wouldn't even take you a lot of time. Like let's say you spend 15 minutes a day in the online office, you could very quickly familiarize yourself with both watching videos on the compensation plan and understanding it, but also her business specifically, and be able to say, okay, Krista, the next person you sign up, we want to place them here because this is really going to maximize the comp plan. We got to get more people on this leg. So you could take the pressure off of her. Like she could just do the legwork of talking to the people and converting them to coaches or whatever, but you could help her with strategy. And if you're into like more of the tech stuff, and she does things like if you're toying around with anything, like, for example, not necessarily this, but like running Facebook ads or things that can be pretty technical, you could learn those skill sets, because that's something I outsource because it's definitely not a strength of mine or where my time is best spent. And it's not even really something that Micheal wants to take on, but that's an example of something that you could be learning that's a business marketing strategy. And I don't know how flexible your job is, but maybe it's like if you like now that you know you're bringing in more income with Beachbody, could you reduce your hours minimally, take off 5 hours a week from your job and watch the kids or something like that to free her up? So start flexing your schedule a little. Just things like that I think could really benefit, and just keep the vision strong. Like you're someone who could also really help her, not just by supporting her, but like talking through the numbers. Like, okay, what do we want to do this month? What's the goal? Like, let's sit and envision how much we want to bring in this month versus last month, and really keep the ball moving forward versus just kind of coasting and seeing where you land.
Yeah, that might be one of the biggest things, is just the support and energy, because it's exhausting. Like in the first year or two, when you're not making the money and you're putting in a lot of time, you might be working another job or something like that. It's exhausting. But you guys are at 2-star. Like you just opened up a second business center, you know, so you probably have 3, right? 1 for each of you, and then your second. It's 3 business centers. Your 2-star diamond. Like you're doing it. All right. So like whatever you're doing, just keep doing. You don't necessarily need to do more. Just keep doing it. You know, maybe, you know, you could get a little bit more time or something like that to help you, but just know that you're doing it. And sometimes the best thing that you can do, Anthony, is just being there, encouraging, like having those visions, you know, keeping that vision like in front of you and energized, you know.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys ever done a program together as a husband and wife?
Yeah, all of them. We do them all together.
I love that, because I think that's something that's kind of rare. And so to be able to use that for marketing, and then at your sales job, one of the things that I used to have to shift my perspective while I was still working is I can't leave my job right now. So I'm here. So what can I do with that? And so maybe at work you can be, and I don't know if you're already doing this, but you know, who can you help in their health and fitness at work? And you know, maybe you're a walking billboard too. And like my poor husband, so he's in a special investigations unit in law enforcement, and there's like 10 of them. I don't think there's any gang members. There's no members of the mafia. Hopefully not. Yeah, he's not really. They don't really like him right now, but like the majority of his special unit is on Shakeology. And
that's awesome.
Like, you know, we're finding bad guys with Shakeology. You know, like, and that's been really fun. Like, it's been a cool thing. So maybe that could be something that you could carry on if you haven't already at your work.
Well, and I was gonna say how I show up, or I showed up as what I did to help is because we were just there. I mean, we've just recently, Jess has pushed forward to get to 5-star, but we were a 2-star diamond coach for 1 star for a long time. And it was always that struggle with time. So something that we started doing was now we have Wednesday morning division going. We get up at 4 a.m. and sit down with the calendar and look at our week and go, okay, what days can we donate more time to Beachbody? What days do we donate to, or what time do we donate to family? And then it's even come down to, I need an hour. She asked me, I need an hour, and I load both babies up in the double bob, and we're going for a walk, or load them up in the truck, or we're outside, and to give her that time to return messages and everything, because it's a business that requires time, and that's something that a lot of new coaches starting out, and if your spouse
but intentional time also.
It is. So
not multitasking, which I've struggled, I won't lie, like I've struggled with that.
And we've had the ups and downs too, where I come home from a rough day and she's messaging 13 people back, and the phone's like right here, and babies are crying, and everything's a mess. And I guess to trust in the process is what I said earlier, is there's a point where you just have to take a deep breath and go, all right, well, trust in the process.
Is a freaking mess.
This we will get past this stage and it'll all be worth it. There's fast roads and long roads to the top of the mountain, but if you don't quit and you go one step in front of the other, you're going to make it to the top of the mountain, and then the view is going to be amazing from the top, and it's going to be worth it the whole trek of the way.
I think our vision mornings too, honestly, on Wednesday mornings, we really tried to envision, like, okay, what do we want? He did a vision board with me with sticky notes, but still.
Which for everybody starting out, the Hartkes are, 6.5 years in. It is freaking hard to try to envision that potential that we want to start thinking, all right, well, I don't have to do 25 years in a career and then think about a set income on retirement. We could make it there in 6. And then you start thinking about what you could potentially achieve if you did something that you love to do instead of because you had to because the paycheck was good.
That to me is the most helpful, because the job can be so draining. And so when he gets on board and oh gosh, baby spilled water all over me. When he gets on board and we can have just even an hour of that kind of conversation, it restores me, because it's draining. Yeah. Sorry, you recognize that. It can be really draining. So I don't know. That's how you feel. Oh my gosh, my butt is soaking wet right now.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And looking at it, like Michael said, their upline coach told him, and I told Jess that too. I go, you need to look at this. If it's going to be a 6-7 figure business, you need to look at it as that and set aside your time and run it like a corporation. If it's time for a coach call and coaches show up in the corporate world or in my job, you don't have a choice not to show up to the call or the meeting or the conference call or the Monday morning briefing around the table. It's a business. You have to show up. You have to be accountable. You have to do the job. And if you look at your business that way and say, hey, I'm going to be 7 figures and I'm going to show up consistently and I'm going to bring leaders to show up consistently and we're going to build this, it's the same as any other corporation out there.
Well, that's something I've noticed too. Over the last few months, I've noticed the change in how she's doing everything, and she switched over to leading more than just trying to search out and SC points and whatnot. And, I do have a ton of downtime at my job that I can try to help out with, and so that's, I think, where I can kind of help out more, find tasks and whatnot to do to help her out there until we can figure out a way to buy her more time.
I would kill for that I've hired assistants to do in my business. That's a pretty easy thing to do. It's hard to keep, if you're having, if you're having multiple conversations with people, on Instagram and Facebook. If you could literally track that for her, like each day, say you go in for 10 minutes, her Facebook messages and her Instagram, and just write down all the names that she talked to. Like, Krista, would that not be gold to you to have that tracked?
That would be amazing.
Yeah, the next day she can say, here's my list of people I have to follow up with, versus like scrolling, killing time, trying to figure it out. Little things like that. You don't have to know anything about the conversations. You don't even have to know anything about the products to do it, but it would be huge, and it would help her convert more people because she'd have a set list of people to follow up with. You want to start doing that. I won't be mad.
I think you're onto something here.
But little things like that, you know, like Krista, you have to think, you have to be the communicator and say, like, all right, here are my pain points that I think if I could do more of this, or if I had help with this, it would move the needle. Like, focus on the things that would move the needle, not like the little tasks or whatever. Say like, oh, if I had, you know, a third arm, like I would be doing this, and let him take that on. He's asking for it, which is amazing and awesome and a true partnership. So run with that.
So kind.
Thank you.
Anything else, you guys, before we jump off? Any other quick questions? Thank you guys so much. I know we went a little bit over, but this to me was so valuable and inspiring. Please share with your teams. I'll send you the recording too, Liz. And have a good night. I'm gonna go. I am literally look like I peed my pants.
Thanks for having us on, guys.
Have a great night, guys.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.